Welcome to Naturally Inspired Radio, where we expose what's broken in the healthcare system, connect you to real health solutions, and inspire you to take back control of your life. We want to help you feel empowered, informed, and free to live naturally without fear, confusion, or dependency. Download our latest book on real solutions for health at naturallyinspiredradio.com. Naturally Inspired Radio is a nationally syndicated show broadcast on over 100 radio stations, online platforms, video channels, and podcast feeds. Follow us on your favorite platform today, hit that like button, leave a comment, and engage in our special live stream chats, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Visit naturallyinspiredradio.com to learn more, register for our weekly giveaway, and explore past episodes. You can also connect directly with Tammy, follow her on all major social media platforms, and discover more about our featured guests and trusted radio partners. Are you looking for better health? Work with Tammy today and take the first step toward a healthier, more empowered lifestyle. Schedule your complimentary 30-minute lifestyle assessment to explore personalized guidance on nutrition, movement, toxin-free living, and natural beauty without pharma. Get started now and discover Tammy's preferred health products at naturallyinspiredstore.com or text Tammy directly 720-303-8868. Love the show and want to support the movement? Head over to naturallyinspiredradio.com and click on the support tab. There you'll find all the ways you can get involved. Join our Naturally Inspired community, become a preferred customer, attend one of our amazing live events, get your backstage pass for exclusive access, and connect to all things naturally inspired. Thank you for tuning in today. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
And so I was talking to my friend on the phone about it back home and venting to him. And he was like, yeah, well, they weren't even born, Matt. Like, cut them some slack. And he goes, what about chemtrails? Those are right in their face. And I was like, what's that? What's that word? What is that? And this is the power of the seed, everyone on earth listening, everyone listening, and yourself. The power of the seed is so incredibly powerful because it lights that little flame under your butt potentially that could turn into this inferno, or right. It gets this little seed going that could turn into this massive redwood. It's just the potential is in you now. So I said, what's that? And he goes, oh man, just go look it up. He goes, go Google it, man, because I can't just tell you. And I go, I'm surprised, Matt, that you don't know what chemtrails are, because you're the one that told me about 9/11 conspiracies to begin with, and we watched Loose Change together and the movie Zeitgeist together and all that back in the day. So I go do some research, and I was floored that I'd never heard of it. I was just like, why? How could I have never heard of it? And I swear I witnessed this too firsthand.
Today on the Naturally Inspired podcast, we have Matt Landman joining us. Through grassroots activism, film, interviews, and international summits, Matt has gained recognition as a leader in 5G and geoengineering chemtrail awareness activism. Matt presents unprecedented and view-changing information directly from official documentation and accepted research. Matt Landman created the social change documentary Frankenskies, bringing awareness to ongoing atmospheric aerosol injections. Matt is now leading a movement to protect humanity from harmful electromagnetic frequencies. You can learn more about his work at sparrowprotectionclothing.com and actualactivist.com. I hope you enjoy this episode of the Naturally Inspired podcast with Matt Landman. I just want to thank you so much for being on the Naturally Inspired podcast today, Matt. This is going to be such a great conversation, and I can't wait to hit some of these talking points so we can bring some more awareness to this most important issue. So let's get started. I want everyone to understand how you came to be kind of this chemtrail guy. You have made this wonderful movie called Frankenskies. And I want to know, why did that happen? Can you tell us a little backstory about yourself?
Yes, happily. And I never thought that I would be anything like that. And, the how and the why, I, at the end of the day, I think it's like divine intervention or something like that, because it was the circumstances that line themselves up for me to, see it through the certain perspective, to really want to do something about it and all that jazz. I've analyzed it. How and why am I the dude? Because I would have made fun of me growing up. I grew up in the Washington, DC area, and like we weren't, like horoscopes and crystals and anything like that, and conspiracies and all that stuff. That wasn't my thing at all. I would make fun of
Right.
those people. I would definitely make fun of those people. And when, like, yeah, there's so much. I never ate healthy. We drank 2% milk with almost every dinner, and a glass of tap water, with ice water
Well,
and
if you
2%.
grew up in the
Yeah.
80s like me, that's what everybody did.
Yeah, so we have gone through this like nice progression. And so then we have our kids, and we're trying to tell them, no, look, we can just teach you at a young age. And they're like, no, we want to go through the progression like you. I've noticed that's what they want. The kids want to learn it on their own. But it's neat that we get to show them like how far we've come, and introduce them at such a young age. I wonder what I would be like if someone showed me early. So for me in the chemtrails in particular, well, it started like slow and steady. I was always kind of like anti-authority growing up in Virginia. It's really strict, state to live in, and I never really agreed with all of the strictness of everything. Like I was anti-government, I guess. I thought
Mhm.
about this a lot, especially even recently. Like, how
Yeah.
did I even become any of this? So I left Virginia. The grass is always greener. I wanted to go to film school. Eventually, I went to undergrad. I graduated from Virginia Tech in 2003 with a business degree, marketing management. And I've worked so many jobs, like probably 45 or something. I've counted recently, is around over 40 jobs. So many different hats and walks of life and all this. And I wanted to go to film school. So I wanted to be in California for it, because that's where you go to be a successful filmmaker, I guess. So I moved to California, and then I back and forth kept going back home and moving back. And I ended up getting like a dozen, literally 12 cross country trips out of it. I was really into photography, and I was kind of like just bouncing around. I would work a job for like 2 years, and like, even be like a vice president of like a company for a few years, and then move on. And then finally I was like, I got to do something with myself. And I went to grad school, got a master's in business, went to film school while I was at it. And I even
Wow.
graduated top of my class with a master's in an MBA in strategic sustainability. And the thing is like I gave school like so much more attention when I was like a little older. Like I don't think kids going to college when you're 18, I don't think we're ready to commit to like, you're a different person compared to like a decade later, because I was going to grad school when I was like 28. Like it was 10 years later. So anyways, I got out of grad school, got another real job as a finance analyst, and then I I ended up having the opportunity to work on a farm. And even though it was a huge pay cut, I quit the one job, left the office, and worked
Mhm.
on an organic farm. I worked on an organic farm. Like, for the first time in my life, I'd never done anything like that.
Right.
And I got so grounded, literally, without even knowing about that at the time, you know? And I've said this on so many different things, and I try to be authentic and not tell the same story over and over, but this is so real. I learned day one, I think it was, on the farm. Well, firstly, I thought I knew everything. You get in this mindset where you think you know everything, and you're like, oh, I'm going to work for $10 an hour just so I can get in shape. You know what I mean? I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to learn anything. I
Because I
haven't.
know it all, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Day one, I learned potatoes grow potatoes. Okay. And this is like a really big kick in the face for a lot of reasons. One of the biggest reasons was it's so simple.
Yes.
And they said I went to this great school. They said we're the best public school in the country, Fairfax County Public School, so much funding, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. no one ever told me the simplest things. Like, I don't even know where my kidneys are. You know what I mean? Like, like seriously,
I know what you mean. Overcomplicated.
Yeah. And
Yep.
the agenda there is to confuse us and pass the buck to the specialist. I'm not a rocket scientist. I can't think about that. I can't think about outside the box really about anything because I'm not that specialized degree. And that compartmentalization came from Edward Bernays.
Mm-hmm.
And that is kind of like this mentality that's programming really. So no one is going to be the meteorologist, and they're not going to think about the lines in the sky, and no one's going to think about farming and this and that. And the potatoes in my pantry, they were trying to grow the whole time. We lived in the suburbs, and it was like not the best neighborhood, but we did have a little tiny yard in our townhouse, and I would have and could have, and I totally would have grown potatoes had I known that those things were just trying to grow. And
Right.
they're so abundant.
Yep.
They're actually the most abundant thing, out
Yeah.
there. So that's something.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I remember a potato falling out of our garbage bag into the soil, and like a week later we had a sprout of a potato plant right beside our garbage can outside. And that was incredibly fascinating to me that they just accidentally grew. They found their way into the soil.
Well, the power of the seed and the power of the metaphor of the seed right now, which is something to speak of. We've been planting these seeds as like truth, whether it's nutrition or whatever. And the soil now, the metaphoric soil with all of the falsehoods and lies that are being promoted through the mainstream, that makes the soil so fertile that the seed can finally, come to fruition and germinate. But so back to the potatoes, so firstly, or one bit of it all is the potatoes are this abundant thing from Mother Nature, but they're toxic. And what happened was the Incans, they saw how abundant the potatoes were. And in the Andes Mountains, years ago, long time ago, generations ago, the Incans literally said, okay, we've got this toxic, very abundant thing that grows everywhere, and we could grow to different altitudes. Let's take generations, and through selective breeding, we're going to breed the poison out of this nightshade and make it edible. So they bred all these different varieties. We got purple potatoes, which I actually had some last night, purple all the way through. They're really cool. You got purple ones on the outside, but some are all the way through purple. Purple is really good for your body. That like things like purple and pomegranate and those dark colors, they stain bad things like fungus and bad things in your body.
Yes.
And then the good cells or good guys can get them out easier. It's interesting.
Yep.
So anyways, the Incans worked really hard so we could have this abundant thing. And on this organic farm, we grew about a dozen varieties of potatoes, and they're incredibly abundant. Oh my gosh. And I learned about vertical farming. You can vertical grow potatoes, and essentially you're just like stacking tires or whatever, or simulating like stacking tires on a bunch of dirt. We can get to that later. Either way, so long story short, I got super grounded on this farm, and I started like seeing things, and I saw this one time weather engineering occurred. We were in the midst of like a 4-year catastrophic drought in California. We were due this huge rainstorm, whereas we usually got like a few months of rain in the Pacific Northwest, starting like October going into April. This big storm's coming off the ocean, and I'm working in this farm that's like literally you can hear the waves. I can see this huge storm coming off the ocean, and this irregular, abnormal occurrence, which was an uptick in air traffic, occurred. And there's no international airports nearby or anything. All these planes just showed up without an airport nearby. They just show up, zigzag the sky, and they all left these lines. And the storm came, and it didn't drop any rain, And I literally didn't know anything about that, and I didn't have any reference point. And so I just kept kept harvesting my pumpkins and doing my thing, right? Later on, call it divine intervention or whatever it was, my friend told me on the phone about chemtrails. We were like talking on the phone about 9/11 conspiracy and how no one's even willing to talk to me about that, because I was going to school.
What year was this?
This was 2010.
2010.
Yeah, this was around 2010, or let's say 2012. Sorry. So around there, I'm first even waking up to chemtrails at all. I'd never even heard the word, right? And my buddy, he's like, and I'm complaining. We're talking. He's on the East Coast, and I'm in college, going to grad school and film school. So yeah, it's right 2010-ish. So because that's when I graduated from there, from Cal State Humboldt. So then when I was in college and I was trying to talk to people, oh, you know about 9/11's inside job?
Yeah.
They're all kids. These are like, I'm like, even in grad school, I was with like kids that are like 23, 24 years old. You know what I mean? When I was in the film classes, they were like 19-year-olds.
Right.
You know, they weren't even alive when it happened. So it's like they don't have any reference point, and they're like, yeah, I've heard both sides. That's all they say. All of them say, yeah, I've heard both sides. And it's because if you look up 9/11 conspiracy, you'll get two sides. And it's like, what are you going to do? Dig your whole life to like what? Like get made fun of by your peers? It's like they don't have an opinion on that. And to me, that's troublesome. And so I was talking to my friend on the phone about it back home and venting to him. And he was like, yeah, well, they weren't even born, Matt. Like, cut them some slack. And he goes, what about chemtrails? Those are right in their face. And I was like, what's that? What's that word? What is that? And this is the power of the seed, everyone on earth listening, everyone listening, and yourself. The power of the seed is so incredibly powerful because it lights that little flame under your butt potentially that could turn into this inferno, or you know, it gets this little seed going that could turn into this massive redwood. It's just the potential is in you now. So I said, what's that? And he goes, oh man, just go look it up. He goes, go Google it, man, because I can't just tell you. And I go, I'm surprised, Matt, that you don't know what chemtrails are, because you're the one that told me about 9/11 conspiracies to begin with, and we watched Loose Change together and the movie Zeitgeist together and all that back in the day. So I go do some research, and I was floored that I'd never heard of it. I was just like, why? How could I have never heard of it? And I swear I witnessed this too firsthand. And so I start talking to people, you know this, and you know this, and the only people that had any reference point were, yeah, I've heard of it, and it's a crazy conspiracy. Like, don't waste your time.
Right.
So I was like, oh no, wait, what do you mean? I think because the thing is I'm a numbers guy. I used to be super into like, I mean, it's basically gambling. Like I call it, I was just in the stock market a lot, you know, and like you really get into the numbers of it all. And it's like, when I went to grad school, finally, I did really well in statistics. Like I was top of my class, number one with all of it, especially just the statistics, because it's just like you're crunching the numbers and there's like, oh, well, if it's a 1% chance or a 0.1% chance of that, then it's, you know, statistically significant that it happens all the time. You know, there's a boundary, or there's like a fine line between correlation and causation. But again, we're told to not wear all these different hats. Personally, I've become like an electrical engineer of sorts, definitely a meteorologist for sure, a filmmaker, an entrepreneur, and all these things. You know what I mean? Like you have to wear many hats. I mean, I've got this fluoride meter now. There's almost $2,000 this fluoride meter. Oh my gosh! And I'm going to be doing fluoride videos on all of it, yerba mates and everything at the grocery store. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like wearing many hats. The Activist does that. I have a website, actualactivists.com. It's got health. It's got 5G. It's so stacked with information. It's got a daily truth blog thing every day. I do a little daily blog, truth, a little short, you know, blog thing. And it's an amazing resource, but it doesn't just stop with chemtrails. So when I first got into chemtrails, and I was the chemtrail guy, and I don't mean to go on this. Like, this is just, you asked me one question. I could just like talk
no,
forever.
but I understand how you mean, because once you uncover one lie, bingo, right? You're like, well, if they lie about this, then, because I had a similar experience, you know, just questioning the healthcare system. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And once I uncovered one big whopping lie, it was like, holy cow. Okay, now I get it. And it leads to other things, because it all affects our health.
So truth ends up being this like vibration, this frequency. And once you're on that vibration and you're honoring it, you know, it's not like knowledge equals power. It's knowledge plus action equals power. You learn the fluoride is bad, then you act on it and you take it out of your toothpaste, you know, make your toothpaste at home if you have to. I don't care what you got to do. And then you're like, okay, now I've been empowered by acting through the knowledge that I've gained. And now I'm further on that vibration of truth. So by honoring truth with integrity and being on that vibration of truth, all these other truths are there. So you can't just be the chemtrail guy, like when I became, quote unquote, became the chemtrail guy, some of my peers were like, you got to stick to chemtrails or no one will believe you or anything like that. And those ended up being people that I didn't trust. I realized, oh, wait, this space is actually potentially riddled with people that aren't who they say they are, because that is actually a thing in the conspiratorial space.
Yeah.
It's very smart, but it's like, if you think about it, if you're big pharma or whatever, of course you're going to have people in the space that are, giving bad advice or whatever. So once I kind of realized that, I was like, no, I need to really honor the truth. And then I was like, well, how could you just be chemtrails? Just even the element aluminum is connected through so many things. The aluminum, and then we can segue into something a little different now, which is, and we can talk about aluminum. We could talk for hours just about it and how it correlates everything, because fluoride comes from the melting of aluminum. So it's like in the aluminum industry, a byproduct of that is fluoride. So those two like to bond together in your brain. They like to come back together, and that happens in your brain. And that's what Alzheimer's and dementia is. But aluminum in and of itself, one thing that everyone can please take away from this is, I have a book, like Conversations with the Aluminum Atom, something like that, by this doctor. And he says, and has a lot of research, he says that 100% breast cancer cases are from microwaving the aluminum that builds up in your breast tissue from deodorant. So your pores that are in your armpits, you're supposed to detox.
Yep.
And instead you clog them with aluminum deodorant, and that aluminum wants to get out, but it doesn't, because you're clogging your pores, So then it pools in your lymphs and it'll go to your breast tissue. And then you don't have to put the phone right next to it, but that's even worse, if you put your phone in your bra and it's literally microwaving it, if you're gonna do that, please put your phone on airplane mode or turn it off, something, have that awareness, knowledge plus action, empower yourself. But just having your phone even like a foot away from it, it's microwaving that aluminum, those little bits of aluminum. It's like putting aluminum in the microwave. It's very simple.
Yep.
And then you end up with, breast tumors or whatever. So if you know this and just free up your pores and don't put in those toxins if you really want to wear the deodorant, there's plenty of natural versions.
Oh yeah. Now there's tons. Yeah.
Yeah. Just don't consume the aluminum. Just don't. And it's like our intake of it is super important. So that's very empowering. And then
because it's compounding, right? It's not just your deodorant. It's like you said, it's in, what you were drinking, what we're eating, what we're breathing, and we can't do a lot about what we're breathing. So do something about the stuff you can do something about.
So one of the most amazing things that I've learned about the chemtrails. Okay, so I don't know if we were on or off the air earlier, but it doesn't even matter. I don't care. I just like to know when I'm on or not. But earlier you said you watched my movie, and I'm like, oh, nice. And you were like, but it's pretty scary. And I'm like, yeah. And I was thinking to myself, well, I hope that it wasn't too scary, because the goal of the movie is to take away empowerment through knowledge, right?
Yeah.
So first truth can be scary, and it can also piss you off, but eventually it's meant to like set you free and further put you on that vibration of truth that is leading you somewhere better than fear, you know what I mean? But what I've noticed in a lot of spaces, in a lot of other movies and documentaries and whatever, if they or people, quote unquote activists or whatever, or quote unquote podcasts or whatever, if the takeaway is fear, then I question that fear is a very strong vibration, and my ultimate goal is empowerment. And I'm not like nitpicking your verbiage or anything. I'm just saying, in the end, I don't want to scare anybody. So
no, I know what you mean. I think given everything that's coming down the pipeline right now, when I watched it again, because I've watched it twice, I was like, oh gosh, yes, there's this too. You know what I'm saying? It felt overwhelming again. And then I sat with it for a bit, and I was like, okay, but really it is just like a certain agenda that really all of it is tied up into. So it's not really separate issues. I mean, they are separate issues. They're affecting separate things, but there is a steam train burrowing ahead here, pushing this stuff forward, and it all is connected with that agenda. So that made my brain go, okay, like it's still the same thing. We're all working on our little pieces of the same agenda to try to bring awareness to where this is going.
Yes, definitely. No, I know that, and totally, and it is all like this puzzle piece octopus where it's all interconnected. And back to the empowerment through knowledge, the most amazing takeaway. So when I first was down the chemtrail rabbit hole, it's very fear based. All of it's really scary. I mean, even to grasp the who, what, why, where, when, how, because everyone asks like these same questions and they want to know the answers. They want the answers from me. And it's interesting. So I've tried to have them for everyone. And you want to take away like something empowering. And I've actually found something that's incredibly empowering in all of this. So it's wild, and it comes back to health. And so these rabbit holes you dig, and in the rabbit holes are a bunch of things, fear-based this and all that, and yeah, we're at war, it seems, and they're trying to attack us, it seems. And why? Because we're super powerful, like spiritual beings maybe, or whatever it is. Like there's reason behind it, and it is very empowering. But in the rabbit hole are very simple elements like alkaline diet. And that's why Dr. Sebi, SCBI, Dr. Sebi, he died for his very simple stuff, like fasting and eating certain things. Anybody could take that on. And he was focusing on the African-American community, but anybody could listen to his stuff in like 15 minutes, empower themselves to drop big pharma out of their life, empower themselves, and be like super not enslaved to the system. So the simple things, all right. So when I kept going on different shows, and I didn't want to keep ending it on just like, you got to chelate, chelate, chelate. And chelate's great. It is okay. It's cool and all, but that's just like, that is already disempowerment almost, because you're like, I've got it in me, I've got to get it out. Right. You're a victim. And this world, this new world that we live in, right? Very fascinating, because victimhood, I think it comes through karma, and this is kind of a spiritual, we don't need to go all the way down this show for the show right now, but it's very interesting that I feel that it's karmic that people are not willing to face their stuff. Okay, so they come into this world and they're meant to like work through all their stuff. Yep. But the powers that be kind of like are smart, and they know through like witchcraft, they're like, hey, do you just want to be a victim and identify as a victim and play that out as, oh, I'm a victim, and then like not own your stuff? And the people that are
we'll facilitate that.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that it's either empowerment or not, right now. And the empowerment of truth and becoming an actual activist, as I call it, that's why I have the website actualactivists.com. It's so empowering to grasp some of this. Okay, so here we are. We grow our food and we get in our soil like some nutrients. I learned on the farm. On the farm, I learned that it really just takes nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, NPK. Those three elements, you can take most anything from seed to fruit, all the way to from flower all the way to fruit. And in the soil, you don't need much. Our bodies crave about 120 minerals, I think 115 minerals. In that mineral list is literally like gold, silver, palladium, copper, aluminum, barium, strontium, surprisingly, like all of these things, plant-derived, plant-based minerals. So that's something to comprehend. Okay, so in our soil nowadays, this isn't like 100 years ago. This is like with farming going on like crazy all the time, and farmers are not getting Ormus or any like wide spectrum mineral supplement and with boron and chrysanthemum. There's like things that you can't even spell that they're like, whoa, is that not a flower or something? It's these are great. Like, I mean, how many could we list right now? 30 or something,
Right.
off the top of our heads. There's like 115-ish that our body wants. And it's because we are beings of electricity and conductivity and rhythm and all of these things. And if you don't think we're beings of rhythm, like, don't go to bed for a few days, see how you feel. It's like every night we go to sleep and the sun comes up and we have our heart that beat and our everything's actually has a frequency and we have a biorhythm and all of it's really tuned to the earth, which is 7.8 hertz, which is the Schumann's resonance.
Yep.
And that's what grounding is all about. And we want to be able to tune our whole bodies to that, to have our nervous system all aligned. And I mean, even like staring at a computer screen for too long, it'll mess with your nervous system. You got to get grounded and be out in the sunlight and all this stuff. It's important for us to understand blue light, all these things. A lot of different takeaways from being a truther or an activist or
Yep.
down the rabbit hole or whatever. So mineralization is the opposite of victimhood, in my opinion, through the chemtrail space. So it's so empowering. You don't even have to. So first of all, people are out there completely blind that there's zigzag X's and O's in the sky,
Right.
and there wasn't yesterday. It's like the irregular pattern of appearance, when you don't even live near an airport or something. It's like the irregularity is what's very striking and can start to wake people up. You'll have planes going with nothing coming out of them for days, and then maybe on the edge of a storm or something, way more planes show up and they're like doing things, side by side and all this stuff. So you've got people that don't know anything's going on. Then you've got people that are aware, but in a space of fear. Oh, there's nothing I can do about that. Oh my gosh. And they don't honor the truth. Okay. Their vibration is low. They're probably victimizing themselves and absorbing those toxins because of their frequency. Who knows? It's like very
Right.
deep spiritual kind of battle game in the end. So what you can do is learn about mineralization. Firstly, when we consume sugar, like if you put a spoonful of just crap sugar in your coffee in the morning or whatever, it takes 54 molecules of magnesium to process 1 molecule of sugar. So your body is like magnesium deficient if you consume sugar. So learn about how to get that magnesium in your body, magnesium that is bioavailable and not magnesium sulfate, because that's toxic, I guess. Magnesium chloride is okay if you want to take a Epsom salt bath. You got to know what you're doing. And then also there's topical, and it's also magnesium is the central atom in the chlorophyll molecule. And chlorophyll is green, leafy greens and wheatgrass shots and all that sort of stuff. You can get your magnesium back up to speed, and you shouldn't be doing the spoonfuls of sugar. You should think about that and know about that.
On top of caffeine too, which caffeine depletes your body. So not, some people are putting, not just 1 teaspoon of sugar, they're putting 3 or 4 in these giant cups of coffee that with added into caffeine, it's that compounding effect again, that we just mentioned.
Well, and important is organic, because these things are sprayed with all this sort of stuff, and there's like so many variations. If you're going to indulge on anything, like I think that you should, like earlier we talked about, like everything's getting pretty expensive. That's like my food habit is like the most expensive thing, and it has been for like a decade.
Same.
It's just like I just have to honor that that's just going to be an expensive thing for me and my family, and that's why we eat organic kiwis, heaven forbid. You know what I mean? But I don't drink alcohol, so it's like it evens out. But this mineralization, I've traveled a lot and I talk to people all over the place on Facebook. I've got Matt Landman on Facebook. Please be my friend, Matt Landman. I've got almost 60,000 followers on there, even though I'm severely censored. That number pretty much stays, but I put in the work before censorship got too crazy. And here I am. And the best part about it is the contacts. People reach out to me all the time with stuff and ideas and opinions, and things resonate with me. And I'll be like, oh, I'm so glad you said that, because I really can see that from that angle. And I've got friends in Utah. And in Utah, there's these, I guess they were old forests that got compressed. It's plant matter that was compressed, and now it's in a bioavailable form of mineral supplement, ionic mineral supplements. So there's different companies out of Utah that you can get these wide spectrum mineral supplements, and some of them list off like all of it, like 80 different things. Some of them, and there's different ways you can get it through shilajit, or ormus has like the noble elements. And I also, every morning, I now take, which I have to tell this story. I could just go, I'm sorry, but I have to tell the story. About a year and a half ago, I had this tragic experience. My arm was broken. And in the hospital, they gave me all these different things. They gave me fentanyl when they set my arm.
Whoa.
Because my arm was so messed up. I couldn't say no. Like they
Right.
just did it, you know. They did the morphine, of course. They did after the surgery, I got titanium in my arm and all this stuff. Afterwards, I was in there for days, and I was on oxys and then some other opiate-based drug that I can't come up with in my head right now. So either way, I got out of the hospital and they were like, "Here, we're going to give you a prescription for Oxycontin." And I was like, "Look, I'm done with that. I don't.
Wow.
I'll go through the pain. I'll deal with it." And it was insane. I did. I went through the pain instead of popping the pills. But while I was in the hospital, all of those drugs that I took, I realized 1 year later, when I was trying to recover, that I was demineralized, and I was not able to uptake minerals either. Because you can't absorb minerals when you take too many drugs, right? It messes up your ability to absorb minerals later on in life, even after you're done not even taking those drugs. So I was like, I know my body, and I would eat well and, eat the grass-fed beef and do push-ups or whatever. And then I'm still like, I'm frail, and I'm like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
So I was reminded of Dr. Sebi, Sebi, and he highly recommends these back to mineral density and bioavailable minerals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm taking all these different minerals now, but one of them that I take every morning that has changed my life, unbelievable, I think everyone should do it every single day, honestly, is Irish sea moss. So it is this, it's called Irish sea moss, and it comes in a capsule form. You can get it on any health or Amazon or wherever you shop. And they sell them now with 2 other things in them, which I think is important because it makes it more bioavailable and you can absorb it better. It's easier on your stomach. And it's burdock and bladderwrack, 2 B words. Burdock and bladderwrack, which help you detox as well. But it's the most important part is ingesting the Irish sea moss, which is just an Atlantic Ocean seaweed like kelp. Like it's just a seaweed, but it's so mineral rich and mineral dense. It's got like 90 minerals in it, and your body's getting all those minerals, and it helped my body relieve itself of that inability to absorb minerals. Mm-hmm. So now I'm got so much more energy, and I'm able to get myself back. I'm thinking I'm getting myself back just from this. And so there's also fulvic minerals, little drops that this company Black that I put in my water. And there's just I'm focused on this mineral thing because, it's not just that we're mineral deficient. All right. That's something to consider. And it's not just that we're not getting it in our soil anymore and that we need it. It's that when our bodies are deficient in minerals, our body needs it. We want it, we need it. So we start trying to get it from anything, anywhere, especially our environment or our intakes. So the kombucha or the air that you breathed or the pool you swam in or whatever, your body's absorbing everything, trying to get those minerals. Yes. So because you're deficient in calcium or whatever in your bones, you don't realize it. I said this on a show years ago, and someone contacted me recently, and I can't believe how much impact that we have by putting these shows out there. It's so amazing. So someone said, Matt, I've been taking multivitamins, and my doctor kept saying, keep taking multivitamins, and my fingernails, my hair, my bones, it was like an elderly couple. And they said, I heard you on this one show say minerals, bioavailable minerals, changed their life. They're not just frail old people anymore. Yep. And it's those vitamins, they're made in the lab, and I don't even trust any of that stuff that I was growing up on, that whole
Flintstone vitamins.
That whole ideology that I was growing up on. I don't trust it. So when you're not absorbing, so check it out. If you're mineral deficient and you're out in the world, out for your jog or whatever, and you're absorbing the air that's been sprayed with chemtrails or something, and your body's I really, really need calcium in my bones. Yep. and it's absorbing stuff from the air or the water that you drank, and it's absorbing something it thinks might be calcium.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But it's
Our
not.
receptors are designed to uptake whatever's closest. So like if it wants magnesium, it'll search out, okay, what's the closest that I can fill this receptor with? It's like a lock and the key type situation. And I learned that, and it was so powerful, especially with magnesium, because magnesium operates over 300 functions in our body. 300. And if we're taking in all this garbage, that's like, oh, that's close enough to magnesium. What could that be manifesting in our physical bodies if it's taking in all this like poison instead of magnesium?
And not to be the Matt, the conspiracy guy, but my first thought is the powers that be know that, and so they know what to put out there that's so close to magnesium that we're going to uptake it, because they know that we all love our sugar, and they've been giving it to us with Skittles and Jolly Ranchers our whole life, and they know that we don't want to understand. Like I went to a mineral hot spring last night. I went to the hot springs in town. Like I did a sauna. I do everything that I can because I want to walk the walk. Well, even I did it before, but I'm just saying, like, I want to honor the truth as much as I can.
Yes.
I'm not gonna, like, when I started eating organic bananas, and I had a non-organic banana. I was like, okay, the difference in price there is like a dime, and they taste different. When I ate an organic,
they taste like
carrot,
a banana, not like fluff.
When I ate, yes, exactly. Very true. No, really. And when I ate organic carrot, and then I went back and I tried the other ones, I'm like, okay, look, I'm not going to go back anymore. It's just a life. I'm going to honor. It's not even just like honoring the truth. It's just like, why would I put in my body something that I know is bad? Like,
exactly.
But that's something about coming to terms with the truth. The first thing people say is, why would they do that? Why would they do that?
Mm-hmm.
How could they? No one wants to accept or acknowledge bad or evil or even duality, because we live in duality here on Earth, polarity and whatnot.
Well, I think it's part of it too, is because most of us aren't innately evil. We don't even really understand what evil is, the full spectrum of it. So it's hard to wrap our brains around that other people operate in that realm, because we don't. It's really difficult for people to go there, a normal person to go there. It's like, no, yes, there is that level of evil. The biggest trick is thinking there isn't.
You took the words out of my mouth. I say the exact same thing. What I try to tell people is, you're not a sociopath. You'll never be one. You have a kind soul, and you'll never get them at all. But what I try to do is meditate and literally put myself in the boardroom, because they come together in these like think tanks. Call it the Bohemian Grove, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They come together and they plan it out. They're like, okay, what about 50 years from now? Agenda 2050.
Yeah.
Agenda 2050. That means they want kids that are like 5 years old right now, that when they're in their 30s, they want them so spun out on fear that in Agenda 2050, they want avatars out in the world. Yep. So people will be at home and they'll be joysticking themselves around because they don't want to be out in the world, because heaven forbid they get germs, or maybe like RoboCop is going to get them, or violence, or I don't know what's going to be like then, because whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know. I want to talk a little bit about the movie in terms of some key points that you make in the movie, because I think everyone really should watch this movie. It is profound. And one of the things that stuck out to me before was just this idea of secret projects, right? I think people need to understand that this is happening, right? Secret projects are happening. Can you talk a little bit about controlling the weather and what that means to control the weather? Lyndon B. Johnson talked about it in your film.
Oh, yes. Thanks. Great question. I think that's the most, that's the biggest takeaway from Frankenskies, the movie, is the beginning, because it starts off in the 1920s. I had a co-worker. I tried to make the movie like palpable for my grandmother or anyone, but I had a co-worker that I was working with for years, and he always rolled his eyes, even when I pointed at the sky. And I was like, one day you'll watch my movie, please. And one day we hung out, And I was like, can I sit you down and just watch some of the movie? How about the first 15 minutes? And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. But he did not want to believe me. He wasn't willing to believe me. He watched the first 10 minutes and it starts in the 1920s and it goes chronologically 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. By the time it gets to the 60s, he looks at me and he's like, oh, they've been doing this for a while, huh? Like it, you can't argue with it at that point because people think when I'm telling them about the movie, they think it's footage that I filmed and I'm going to like twist it and narrate and be like, oh, look at the, no, this is from before you were born. And like you said, the secret projects, which is a great way to say it, if there's so many things happening then, they took even out of the common consciousness, the vernacular, they took out of our consciousness cloud seeding and being able to just make it rain. And it was so commonplace in the 70s that farmers were making it rain with minerals. They were literally seeding clouds with their own mineral constitutes like potassium and whatever and making it rain on their soil. When I saw that in the newspapers and the microfiche in the 60s and 70s, I was like, wow, farmers are now just looking at clouds go by saying, I wish it would rain, not even knowing that it's controlled. So your question, what does it mean to control the weather? Well, through their mechanisms. Okay, so in the movie Frankenstein, one of the most staggering points after I watched my movie a few times because I've seen it 1 million times. I'm just kidding, but it's, of course I have. In the movie, they when they're first learning to manipulate the weather and seed rain clouds and okay, so firstly, in 1914, this guy, Professor Hatfield out of San Diego, he was hired to make it rain. And he came up with the idea of cloud seeding, and cloud seeding became a thing because he did it, and it rained so hard that the dams flooded. It burst the dams, and the city of San Diego in turn tried to sue him. But he won because he was actually hired by them to do it.
Right.
And he didn't know it was going to rain so hard. But after then, it was like commonplace that you can make it rain. Hatfield did it. And the way that Hatfield did it is he built a tower 30 feet tall, and he went up on it and sprayed into the atmosphere, into oncoming clouds in the air, just in the air,
right.
Seeds to make cloud seeding, which is just what that means is it's like spraying a fog or aerosolize a little dust. So spraying dust of whatever is going to attract the water. So there's hydroscopic and hydrophobic. So hydroscopic means it's going to go and get onto the seed, which is a little piece of dust, which you can use like silver iodide, or you can use different things that are small enough and light enough. And it's just like dust. You're like spraying dust up there. And then it imitates the natural process, and the water couples to it, and it gets heavy because all the water droplets go to little seed, and then the seed drops as a drop of water, if that makes sense. So you can seed rain clouds with different things and with different elements. And what the Air Force found to be the best one to seed the crap out of rain and like make a dump and actually flood the Ho Chi Minh Trail in Vietnam was frozen carbon dioxide, which is dry ice. So they're like, yeah, we use dry ice for this, dry ice for that, So concentrated carbon dioxide. So our military has been using concentrated carbon dioxide, and probably still does. They've been using that to manipulate the weather. Huh? Wait, what?
Yeah.
And it's like public on this public records, like that right there should raise a big
1914.
Excuse me. I thought our SUVs were like making global warming because of carbon dioxide, which that's just a whole nother, rabbit hole. And one thing to note is the number one greenhouse gas is water vapor. Okay. And if the claim is that these planes are zigzagging and just leaving water vapor trails everywhere, then they need to be scrutinized. You know what I mean? Like this whole carbon dioxide is making global warming and sea levels are rising and we're all doomed and we need to act. And geoengineering is actually maybe one of the solutions, which is spraying the planet with aluminum to dim the sun and not let the sunlight come in. It'll actually create a greenhouse effect. So, okay, so what is controlling the weather? They've learned to spray different elements in the sky to make it rain and then make it not rain. and then actually they can spray stuff and heat it up too to make high pressure. And then if you can make high pressure, you can make heat waves, you can make droughts, and then if you can make high pressure, you can steer jet streams. And if you can make high pressure bubbles, you can clash them with low pressure, make thunderstorms, tornadoes, hurricanes, and all that sort of stuff. And so that gets into technology that they've perfected. It started off with this antenna array called HARP, which was in Alaska. It's Tesla technology, and it's been like shrunk down and deployed all over the place. And it's actually really simple in the whole scheme of things. So when you have a microwave, you put food in the microwave, and in the food there's water in your food. Essentially, like there's all the food has water in it. And so the microwave, what it does is microwaves are actually radio waves, like but at a micro size, and they use these radio wave, aka microwaves, to blast your food from opposing angles, and the focal point is the food. So the intersecting of the microwaves in the food, they intersect and like clash in each other in the food and oscillate the water molecules to the point that they heat. And so it's just the clashing or the intersection of radio waves or microwaves at a focal point that's heating the food. It's microwaving the food. So they have learned to microwave the atmosphere in a very similar way by having antennas on the ground and picking a focal point in the atmosphere. The focal point can be like a mile, wide or like even miles, in like square miles, But they'll now that they have all their stuff set up, and this sounds like totally like if you're just learning about chemtrails, and now I'm talking about this, and then soon I'll tell you that they can point those things down and make earthquakes. It sounds super out there, right? But I'm just telling you, their tool belt is very sharpened by now.
Well, yeah, and learning the history of this, coming back way back from 1914. Imagine they had that technology then. What the heck do you think they have now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So right after JFK was assassinated, Lyndon B. Johnson, which a good amount of the archives that we found was from Texas A&M University archives.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I believe that the Lyndon B. Johnson speech is Texas A&M graduation speech right after JFK died. And he gets off on this tangent about
weather warfare,
how powerful he is. Yeah.
Yes,
and he's like,
it's maniacal.
Like, yes. And he goes, control the weather, control the world. And he puts his hands together and his beady little eyes like get black. And every time I watch it, I get the chills.
Yeah.
Like
I got them too when I was watching.
Yeah. So that's the guy that was in charge after JFK died. Like, whoa. Yep. So that's like the history of our country. It started with them, and then after Vietnam, the entire world came together. The UN unanimously, I think at the time it was 76-0. 76 countries voted, you can't use weather warfare anymore. We saw what you did in Vietnam. If you start attacking countries with weather warfare, then other countries will attack other countries with weather warfare, and all the weather and the planet's going to get messed up, and we're going to screw everyone up at once. So we have to not be doing this.
Right. So there was an actual declaration made, like, you can't do this.
The front page of like all the major newspapers in the world was weather warfare banned, and it was right after Vietnam. I want to say like 70, early 70s or something. But like I have it's in my presentation. I give these presentations. So I had the first annual Global Chemtrail Summit in Vancouver, Canada in 2016, and then I have this great presentation that I give, and I had all the other chemtrail activists in the world come together for the conference. And then the next year I had a same conference in Portland, Oregon, and then the next year after that I had the same conference, Summit to Stop Geoengineering, in Tucson, Arizona, where we exposed this experiment Bill Gates was supposed to be having to dim the sun, to tell us that we could use chemtrails to stop. Even though chemtrails don't exist, and that's a conspiracy, they wanted to show us that they could use chemtrails by spraying aluminum in front of the sun to save us from global warming. So I had this conference, a protest on Mother's Day for Mother Earth, and a concert. This was all in May 2018, and we made these ripples through that city. I went on Coast to Coast AM, and a lot of people heard about it. And a lot of people came from all over the country. And the consensus, it was weird. I wanted everyone to know about chemtrails, right? But what happened was the entire city learned that Bill Gates wanted to do an experiment over their city,
Right.
and they were like, no, we're not having that ish go on, spray aluminum in our skies. And so it didn't happen, and it's been put on hiatus, and that was amazing. That was an amazing victory for the activism.
Yeah.
But now it's supposed to happen this June in Kiruna, Sweden. It was supposed to happen last year, and the Greta Thunberg and this other controlled opposition groups of Sweden, the Swedish NASA and the Swedish Greenpeace, who I don't trust, they came together and said, we're not going to let you do the sun dimming experiment until you do it next year with while taking into consideration governance. So we want it governed. So when you do it, we want to make sure everyone can do it together all at once. And it's actually like not, it's like, because everyone's like, no, Matt, don't worry, they stopped it. Greta stopped it. And I'm like, no. It's actually going to be worse this time, because there's going to be like, the opposition's going to be there like, this is how we do it safely, because otherwise New York will be underwater next week, don't you know? And it's gonna...
To understand that dynamic, you know what is a great movie to watch is it's called Promised Land, and it's about how this company rolls in. It's like a Monsanto type company that's rolling into this small town, and there's a really smart school teacher there that says, no, it's about drilling, and not Monsanto. Sorry, it was about drilling oil. That's what it was about. And it shows how they'll play out this story. And then they actually sent in a fake environmentalist to put up signs and act like they were, protesting it and with the people. It's a really interesting movie because it shows you how they control both outcomes.
To grasp that, for people that their first reactions are like, how could they do that and whatnot, and then me and you are like, well, you're not evil, you don't get it, but there is evil on earth, and I don't know how to explain it to you any better. For people, I think it's really important. I considered doing a podcast that's called Controlled Opposition, your opposition to controlled opposition, and like explain to people that what that concept even is. Because it's a very, it's scary and daunting and evil, and then everyone makes paranoia, and it's like it's a messed up concept. But to understand that they're so worried about the truth getting out that they'll pull out all the stops. Okay. And then also, like, at the end of the day, they want everyone worshiping these fake idols. Like, you don't need any of it. Like, you can resonate with the truth on your own, kind of thing.
Yes, you're capable. You're so capable. We're so capable, and that's their biggest fears, that we're going to find out how capable we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's empowering takeaways from it all, but to know that there is opposition and controlled opposition. So there was this thing called Event 201, and it was right before all of this nonsense a couple years ago, when all this nonsense happened. So they ran it all through a supercomputer with Bill Gates, and they're like, this is how we would react, if people protested this and that lockdown or whatever it would be. And in that, to disinform everyone and confuse everybody, there was this thing in this computer simulation, and this is in like November 2019, in this computer simulation, there's this thing called the flood. And the purpose of the flood was to flood the information so that people are confused. So the mainstream media was to be flooded with all these different stories, so people are like, I don't know which one to grasp onto. But also the alternative media flooded with controlled opposition. And to understand that, to grasp that there's controlled opposition, that there's people that are being paid to like write a book and to give speeches and to have a podcast or whatever, and they're like, no, you should do it this way. Once you start to like, because my whole path has been like my gut, and learning to discern and learning to talk to my like gut. It sounds kind of weird talking to your gut, but Everyone does it. Everyone has had their
Everyone
gut.
has it.
Everyone has had their gut be like, yay, or no.
Yes.
And sometimes you just have to go through that process where you're like, I'm not going to listen to that. And you learn that your gut is always right.
Yep.
You can learn about muscle testing and stuff like that. And, your body's connected to like some deeper, source,
Yeah.
whatever. Like
I think a lot of people have gotten to know their gut with this whole with these shots, because there's been people that have said to me, I'm so glad I found your work or whatever, because there was never a question from the very beginning that I would take that shot. That's what they said. I've never been more sure about anything in my life that I did not need that medical intervention.
Yeah, that's what I mean about the soil. So the soil is so fertile now for the awakening of all these seeds in the people, because I think they're pulling out of the stops in a space of fear of their own. They know that the stars are aligning or something like that, and they need to like do what they can now before we.
Right, because it's fast, right? They're trying to advance fast. They're really pushing stuff.
It really seems like it. It seems like that they have a whole plan, a whole agenda, and that it's not over, and that we as like a species need to kind of laugh at it. When it first happened, when all of it first began, I realized the importance of getting physical books. So I started accumulating books, because I think that certain things are going to be unavailable in the future, or if they do this whole dystopia, like I know they're not going to, things will be different, So I want to have this like truth library. And I did. I started really stocking up on so many different, everything I could find.
Yep.
And I have a section for Wilhelm Reich. I have a section for Rudolf Steiner. And the Steiner stuff is pretty cryptic and fun and weird and interesting. One of the interesting takeaways lately, one of the books that I read, he's got books on the Shadow Brotherhood and books. He even has lectures that predict some of this, which is why I've been digging into him so much. But he talks about how he calls it this harmonic force. Technology is coming to like kind of take over the children in a way, like transhumanism, it seems like the agenda.
Yeah.
And it's so important right now to find a balance and to, you don't have to like pull the kids away from technology 100%, but to try to find, even for us, a 50-50 balance of technology and the natural world.
Yeah.
And that means just like not being on tech all the time. But what he said in another book that I was reading recently, which I found very fascinating, he said there's going to be like some serious big lies, like not like what we've experienced, but like, I don't even know, fake aliens or something completely nonsense.
Yep.
Where they'll imagine there's nukes or something, and then the fake aliens stop them, and then they're like, hey, we've actually got a cure for cancer too, and then we like give our power away to them and whatever they have to say because they're better than us or something. Like something very extreme could happen. I don't know what, but I would not be surprised if in the next decade or year something extreme happens.
Yeah, I agree. Project Bluebeam, right?
And we need to talk about that too. Let's talk about that. So, because I'm the person to talk to about that for a second. But what Steiner says, is the most important aspect of all of it is that the children see through it and know that it's nonsense, and it'll actually be it'll actually result in their growth. You know what I mean? Like it'll refine them.
Yeah, because the discernment will be brought back. Yeah. Right. Because this is what we're losing. We've lost so much of, right. Like it just recently I read, an article, I think this morning or yesterday, where like we're losing any kind of discernment in this battle of our language. Right. We can't say these words anymore. We can't define genders anymore. Like what we need grounding here. Like this is insane. It's floating away, into nothingness. And if our kids can see through that, they're not going to feel shame in grabbing back their language, right? Like I say that all the time. I'm taking that back. Those are our words. We're gonna hold on to these words because they mean something. And without meaning behind these words, what do we have? Which is creating that chaos, right? That they want to create.
I love that you just said that it's an attack on, what I heard was that it's been an attack on discernment, because it really has been. If you don't question authority, so there's this quote I like to say: you can take authority as your truth, or you can take truth as authority. The choice is yours. The choice is up to you, right? But recently, if you've just been like hook, line, and sinker, like I'll just listen and do whatever they say. And like people are like, well, there's 99.9% survival rate. You don't have to do that. And they're like, no, I'm going to do what they say. I'm going to do what they say. If you have done exactly what they say, it's been like literally like this. Like, you have to wear it outside. You don't have to wear it outside. You have to wear it while you're standing. You don't have to wear it while you're sitting. You have to wear it. You have to wear two. You have to wear it in your car. You don't have to wear it in your car. You have to, like, if you're already, okay.
You're a monkey.
If you've already done that, okay, you're already their monkey. Like you, and not to mention all of the enslavement through the frequency, the word magic, and I analyzed everything. When you go to the grocery store, like when I used to go to my co-op and they were like, here we are with our blue mask, and they're trying to hand it to you as you walk in. The sign says in trance. And these zombies walk in there, and then if they don't already have a fresh blue mask on, they're handed one and they put it on. And when they walk out, it doesn't say like snap out of the trance. There's not someone there shaking them out of it, like there never will be. And so I've seen it like that. And so I want to get back to the blue beam. But one thing I want to say is the trance, it's so effective that the other day I saw on my nearby campus a beautiful Black woman in fatigue recruiting for the Army with her face out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she's totally preying on the minorities of this area and everyone else, because they're all guilted into the Black Lives Matter. But imagine this like trance and witchcraft. It's gone on for like 2 years plus. Black Lives Matter, all that stuff was very traumatizing. Okay. And if you're a youth at that time, of course you're going to be like, we need to stop this, that was very much
very impressionable.
Very great job. That's a perfect word. I had to write that word down the other day when I was driving, because I like that word so much, because it's so important right now. So then all of a sudden there's this pandemic, and everyone's potentially going to die, and we have to do the right thing. So they are out there protesting Black Lives Matter with signs that say, I can't breathe, while wearing the face mask for the first time.
Wasn't that something?
Okay. Yeah. And I was amidst my life, and I was traveling and stuff, and I pull into the town that I was moving back to, Arcata, California, it's a Northern California town, and people were protesting, and I swear it, I thought they were protesting, obviously, why would I not think the masks, It would just be like people wearing blindfolds and having signs I can't see, and not seeing a correlation. How could they not see a correlation between the two things that they're doing, right there?
Yeah.
And so those people who have been in a trance the whole time, they've been up, down, left, right, do this, do that, take off them. And now it literally was like this where I live. They finally got the opportunity to take off the masks. They're told you can take off the mask now. And then right when they're able to take it off, there's this nice Black woman saying, hey, you want to join the Army? Don't you care about Ukraine? It's like, whoa. So now they can breathe and interact. It's like the first day they took that mask off, and they're excited to interact with someone. And it's like, they're not snapped out of the Black Lives Matter trance. They're not snapped out of the whole, like, don't you care about the world, wear your mask thing. All of these programmings are still embedded in them. No one's deprogramming them. And for someone who's like 16 years old or 8 years old or even 5 years old, this has been very adult level programming for 2 straight years. Okay. Yep. And if you don't have the wherewithal or the discernment or anything to see it from another perspective, wow, you've been drilled with the word lockdown. Lockdown in 2020 was the Webster's word of the year. Okay. You don't need to have that in your consciousness if you're a freaking 12-year-old or 8-year-old or something. Like, you should not have to worry about these things. You shouldn't have to be like, do we have our masks? Oh, we forgot them. Oh, they're going to yell at us. Oh, I don't want, like, my girlfriend has we can get into this forever about the children, but they don't want people upset with them. I want people upset with me for wearing my face. I don't care. And if you're going to get upset that I'm wearing my face, then get upset. But the kids, it's an amazing journey, but I definitely think that
It's predatory, right? This is
Mhm.
predatory against kids. I mean, look at how, do you think it's accidental that this issue, it's a marketing campaign. I can't breathe. We're wearing masks. Like this whole thing, silence is violence. What? No, it isn't. Like it's just this ballet, like you said in your movie with the chemtrails and how it gets executed. I thought that was so beautifully put. It was like a masterful ballet, the way they execute these agenda items. It couldn't come together better, right?
Thank you. And I firmly believe that the children right now, with the parents, with that have the wherewithal to be like, no, 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 it's actually nonsense, hon. Oh, sorry, it's nonsense. And they see their friends and their friends'
Yep.
parents and buying a hook, and they see through it. Those are the warriors of the future. These are like what we needed, And
Yeah.
it was just that simple. You just had to honor the truth enough to be like, no, 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 we need to breathe, hon. No, we're
Yeah.
gonna be fine. And guess what? A lot of children thought, "Oh my God, is my mom wrong? Are we all going to die?" Guess what? No one died. Guess what? We're
Yeah.
all okay. We're all okay. And you showed them that you were right, and they know you were right, and they know it deep down in their soul. So
Yep.
Project Bluebeam is a little more out there than all of these conversations we've had thus far, but it's a public project
Yep.
where the government can make a hologram in the sky during war or whatever, but it
Yep.
utilizes chemtrails. So that's why I know about it and I talk about it and stuff like that. So you can the sky is like a three-dimensional, you got XYZ axes, and you can, if you spray these barium and aluminum and strontium, mix it together and zap it and when they zap it with the HARP antenna, you can actually see the ripples in the sky. And then when they turn it
Mm.
off, you turn it off, the haze will stay. The haze is like activated and stays longer or whatever. So people that have been left to their own activism in science or whatnot have thought, okay, well, when it's a crazy chemtrail day and it does rain the next day, I'm going to test that rainwater for what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's how people have cross and analyzed the patents and the other research to see, and the soil samples to understand what is going on. And so the primary chemtrail constituents, the agreed upon consensus, which is getting pretty like understandable because now they're saying we're going to do it and this is what we're going to use.
Yeah. They're talking about it now.
Yeah, it's aluminum, barium, and strontium primarily.
Yep.
And even in Kingman, Arizona, this community of like 30 people came together and they said, so many chemtrails, we're going to test our water. And those three came up. So they tested their blood and their hair, and it was an irregular spike in all of their hair and blood and water because there were so many chemtrails overhead. And they're like, look, this is way too much. We got to do something about this. And they got their senator involved, and it was an interesting, I mean, nothing really comes of it because we're up against a new world elite, and we really just need to empower ourselves and tell everyone and spread the truth at this point.
Right.
So Project Bluebeam is important for us to understand because it could happen. So if there's like an asteroid or like a nuke that blows up over the ocean and makes a tsunami, or fake or aliens coming or something, or Jesus shows up in the sky, any of these things could be just projected with the technology that they have now. So they have learned how to make a screen with their chemicals by which they can project onto it very real looking holograms. And what's interesting is something surfaced recently of a plane that just got stuck hovering over Moscow a couple years ago. And immediately I'm like, okay, that's Bluebeam glitching or something. They're experimenting with it, and Bluebeam glitched. If you get really dig down the rabbit hole far enough, there's thoughts that maybe there weren't planes that crashed into in 9/11. Like maybe there weren't even planes that hit it, and that was more holographic. And the technology may exist. It may even have to do with like smaller orb technology being like projecting it onto the screen or whatever it is. It exists, and it's in their tool belt, and it could easily be utilized. So in the rainwater, a lot of things have shown up through different people analyzing it. And one thing that was fascinating that was showing up in Saskatchewan, very rural Canada, was terbium, terbium. And like that was just an outlier an anomaly. People are testing broad tests of all these different things. It's scary when high levels of lithium come up, and it's scary when high levels of lead and cadmium come up, and different things come up. But terbium was a first, so I did some research, and it's used. It's a very expensive, very expensive, very rare, rare earth element, and it's not mined up in Canada, Saskatchewan. Shouldn't be coming down in the rain there. And what it's used in is 3D television sets, right? So I think that they're experimenting with it, playing with it. There's this weird thing called the Norway spiral, and it's this weird something in the sky, and doesn't really make sense. I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that happens in the near future that I'm laughing at while the rest of the world is totally losing it, because fear is very powerful.
Especially if they decide to project a mushroom cloud, right? To invoke a certain response, right?
Yeah, exactly. I even have my hesitations with this whole nuke thing. Like, the more I learn about the government and that everyone lies, I mean, not everyone, everything is a lie coming out of our government.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that the previous generation was fear-mongered into hiding under desks all the time and all this, what have you.
Yep.
And then I learned about what nuclear bombs would be like. And if an atomic bomb was detonated over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they wouldn't be able to rebuild on that land. It would be radioactive. There'd be children with 2 heads and stuff. Like, they wouldn't rebuild on that land, and not immediately. So yeah, I think it was firebombed. And I think that we won the war or whatever. Or no, I don't even know about that. If you look at Project Paperclip and all. So
it's more about negotiations and what you can get out of it for yourself in terms of what are we going to get for this? And then it's the narrative that gets rolled out. There's 2 things going on.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to say while I have everyone listening to this interesting dialogue is I talk to a lot of conspiratorial kind of folk, and I go on conspiracy kind of shows, and I can tell that you're a little more grounded, and I love that, and thank you. On the shows, I've got people convincing me that humanity was on the verge of a nuclear apocalypse, okay, like in the 60s or something, and that aliens supposedly showed up and deactivated the nukes. Like the finger was on the trigger, and the aliens were like, you can't do this, and they deactivated it, and maybe they pressed the button, maybe they didn't, but it didn't work. And so supposedly the aliens have deactivated the nukes. And so I hear this from one person, and then another, and then I hear from someone else, and I'm like, I don't really buy that story, and their response
I think you've gone a little bit over the edge there.
So when I said that last to someone, they said it to me, they go, well, I've heard it from multiple sources in that. And I'm like, oh, well, that really means it's probably fake in my eyes, right? So why would they implant that into the consciousness? I think that there's a reason behind it, and potentially it would be weird, I know, and it would be like a Hollywood movie, but it would totally dismantle our humanity. They want a unified world government.
Yes, they do.
They want to pull that off. Yep. So in their little boardroom think tank, there's evil people being like, can we please just do the fake aliens? Can we? And maybe they'll get their day, or maybe they won't. But that is a potential in their arsenal. It's like a 5% chance or whatever. But if it happens, we need to laugh at it. We need to totally honor our spirituality and be empowered by it. Tell our kids whatever. There's going to be something really raw that comes out of what's next. And I don't think it's going to be in their favor, even though they think that they can win out with complete fear mongering and dystopia and what have you.
Yeah. Well, I think, we need to just focus on authenticity, right? And I always say, well, maybe, because it's very easy to go off the cliff, right? Where everybody's a disinformation agent. And some of these things that you just described we have to stick with what we can prove. And that's kind of, my mind can go other places, because I think that that's part of discernment. And if you shut people off and not listen to other people's ideas, you could end up being that person yourself, where you get stuck in falsehoods because you're not willing to explore. But at the same time, we have to stick with what we can prove. And maybe in the future we'll be able to prove other things, but right now this is what we can prove.
Yeah, that's why that's why I like the 5G space more than the chemtrail space, because there's so many studies showing that even though a lot of these things are hard because EMF radiation is invisible. The chemtrails are like way up there. It's like hard to prove, like you said. But at the end of the day, like the radiation from the EMF and the 5G and all the studies that do exist and all of that, it's almost easier to prove to people and explain, especially people that develop electrosensitivity and EMF. Like there's people that have like realized that they are. I mean, I used to hold my smartphone in my hand and my fingers would like tingle, So I've reverted back to an older kind of phone and what have you. But it's important for everyone to acknowledge all of it. I think the best thing about all of it is our health. Like if we embrace the knowledge of it, we start to see ourselves as like, your body is a temple kind of thing. And
the people you love the people you love, don't you want them to be healthy? Like you have to explore, especially when you go to an allopathic doctor and they don't have answers for you. And they're just wanting to sell you drugs or surgeries. But that's not really the answer. You feel like in your soul, that's not the right answer for me. That's when the journey starts outward and you're like, well, what can I do? And this is how you start wanting. That's what, will start that fire for a lot of people is wanting to protect themselves, but also wanting to protect the people they love. And these things are happening. They're really happening. And unfortunately, sometimes it takes it to happen to them in order for them to understand it fully.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is that we can, or not the most important thing, well, the most in that aspect with the people in our lives is we know them. And so therefore we're their best. We can shine the light best for them. If that makes sense.
The right way.
In the right way. So we have to, firstly, it's nice to wake up and to know what's real and to see the truth on certain things and to be thankful for the truth. It's very important. It's also important to spread it in our own way, because that's why we're here, spread it in our own nature, to have it contagious enough that it spreads everywhere. And it starts with our close proximity people, our family members, our peers, our friends, and we know how to approach them best. So coming at them all crazy with the chemtrails and not giving them a grounded, I like to just hand people the DVD and say, watch it in your living room by yourself. I'm not going to hover over you. And that gives them the opportunity to do it on their own. There's a lot of this that we can do it. It's just about doing it in the right way. And then when I notice it being done the wrong way, like all out of fear and spun out in a certain way, that's when I kind of just like change the channel. What you said before about like not wanting to think everyone's bad. I like to absorb like all of the information. I take it all in. And then I'll just like sit in the bathtub or the sauna and be like, what do I want to keep? Like what resonates with me the most and what doesn't? What do I want to let go of? And the stuff that really I can really feel that I want to keep and hold on to, I'm like, okay, well, that makes the most sense. And then it'll either be proven or disproven in my real world, it seems like, so I can keep it with me or not. Like in the chemtrail space, it took a lot of just watching the sky over and over and over and over. I first was buying the narrative, which I realized was controlled, of the polarized debate of, is it a contrail, is it a chemtrail? And even in Frankenskies, I alluded to like the things being two different things. I'll have to hammer it home in Frankenskies 2, the sequel that I'm working on, Frankenskies 2 Climate Chains, like shackles. Updates are available at frankenskies2.com and also frankenskies.com for the first movie. So in the sequel, I'll be having to explain more so that I was mistaken and I had to learn on my own about it just through experiential evidence.
Yep.
Is really how it was, and then putting it all together. But there's not a contrail, so there's this debate of, oh well, the short one is a contrail, condensation trail, but the long ones are chemtrails. And when you see like the different sized ones, you get in this debate. Oh, is that the contrail, the normal one, because of the heat coming out of the engines, or is it blah 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 blah? Okay, so to clear that one up, you can actually see planes flying by with nothing coming out, and that happens. That happens oftentimes. That's normal. That's totally what normal planes do. And that engine that's on the plane, that was it came out by General Electric in the 50s, but then Rolls-Royce really perfected it in the 60s, and so now you're seeing these. They're all outfitted with pretty much the same engine. It's these Rolls-Royce high bypass turbofan jet engines, and they're simulating a propeller. They're just fans. There's no heat. It's like a propeller pushing air over a wing to create lift. Okay, and they're just big turbines spinning. There's no heat. My dad was actually a pilot. We actually like flew through birds sometimes, and like they don't get singed or nothing. They get chomped up, and like you can mess up the fan blades if you can break an engine if you go through too many birds. But it's like the idea that because you're not a rocket scientist or an aeronautical engineer, are you, or a meteorologist
or a biologist?
Yeah,
it's the new one. I can't answer that. I'm not a biologist. What?
Right.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Right. So all of it comes down to that. Okay. So on 9/11, this plane slammed into the Pentagon, and on each side were these engines. They're called high bypass turbofan jet engines. Each one is 2 tons, and they're made of titanium and steel. And where the engine supposedly slammed into the glass of the Pentagon, the windows, the glass isn't even broken. Like these engines are not even there. But what those things are they're just fans, and they're very efficient. They're not like blasting. They're not burning jet fuel like all crazy. Like there's hardly any jet fuel that gets you from LA to Australia. Like think about that trek. They're very efficiently just spinning fan blades. And so because that conversation got really deep, people started talking about the barometric pressure and the humidity of the upper atmosphere. So it depended on if the barometric pressure was over a certain level, and I'm not up there. Let's check the humidity levels on the Weather Channel and blah, 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 blah. No, that's all confusion tactics and divide and conquer. And it gets even us in the conspiracy space being like, oh, was that? Which one is that? No. So if you just start looking at the sky, watching it, you'll see a small trail and a long trail, or a small trail and a medium trail being sprayed like right behind or right in front or side by side. They're literally just mixing chemicals together. Okay. And what I learned is the shorter trails are called primer planes or precursor gases. I actually found this in a document, precursor gases. So they'll spray the ones that are shorter, looking like contrails, and then they prime the sky. They'll even do it for a full day. So if you see a day of just the little ones, then the next day they're going to come on with the longer ones. And that alone in your consciousness will totally change. You don't have to listen to anything that I say anymore. You can just look at your sky and be like, oh, wow, that little seed, it's true. Like, it doesn't matter if I'm like, because it's easy for me to be like, oh, there's controlled opposition out there. But what if I'm controlled opposition? It's just like, you don't need to listen to what I say. You can just
go look.
Experience it for yourself. Listen to your gut. Ask your gut, like, okay, if this was good, they'd be telling us that they were doing it. You know what I mean? Like, in the end, it seems like there's not enough scrutiny and transparency here, that there's some evil going on, maybe, but identifying with the fact that there's bad when you're good is really hard. It's difficult, and you have to kind of have like a spiritual reckoning of sorts to grasp all of that.
Yeah.
What's really cool, really quick, activism, which everyone can be encouraged and inspired by it all. It takes these little baby steps, but now we have like GMO food that's labeled and not labeled, and we have organic food labeled in the grocery store because people did something. So anybody can do anything to get these like things taken.
That's such a good point. I want to talk briefly about climate change, because I know you got Frankenskies 2 coming up, and you're going to touch on that, which I'm so grateful for, because this climate change stuff is rolling out fast. And what I want to focus on a little bit is that climate science is funded, is it not?
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Almost the word science is like funded. It's
And
probably
so
like
how does that impact climate scientists? If this is the same model being used in health, right? And all of it's the same model. Now it's just we're moving into a different topic because I believe that there are climate lockdowns in our near future.
Exactly. It's a bait and
Yep.
switch.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's people like maybe not me and you, but the next generation, they'll be like, oh, we know what to do. Yeah, lockdown, I know what that means. And oh,
Yep.
it's because of the hurricanes? Okay, sure.
Yep.
Or oh, it's because there's fires in California. Oh, I got to play my part.
Yeah. Well, they did the first climate lockdown in the UK a couple of weeks ago for
No
wind.
way.
Yes, they did for wind.
Oh,
It was
man.
windy. You can look it up. It was in the UK. They told everybody to stay home because it was too windy, and they were locking down. So, yeah, that's what I call a breadcrumb story, right? Where that gets dropped somewhere strange, and you don't hear too much about it. But
It normalizes it.
yes,
Slippery freaking slope. That's a really slippery slope, everyone.
Yeah.
So, for those of you that don't know, there's this potential that we're going to have global climate change, or global climate change lockdowns. I don't know what they'll call it, but it'll be under that. That may be like the beginning of like this Klaus Schwab like New World Order thing. Like, well, everyone has to go inside at once, and we're going to regulate this through like drones or something. I don't know. It's really weird.
And your ESG score, they won't even have to, because your environmental social governance score will determine what you're going to be able to do. So it'll be like your credit score. Like, you don't want to screw your credit score up because you might not be able to get a loan for a car, yada, yada. Now it'll be like, oh, I can't go out on the day I'm supposed to. I can't drive today because it'll lower my ESG score, and then I won't be able to close on my house, or I won't be able to, like, this is happening, people. Hello, wake up.
Well, at least I know why I'm on Earth is to fight that. So
yes, me too.
It's like I'm kind of just getting myself ready for that fight and how that's going to come down. I think a lot of people are going to buck that and say no, because people are waking up way too fast.
Yep.
And some communities are going to say, excuse me, guy 20,000 miles away, I'm not going to go lock myself in my house because you said there's going to be a hurricane somewhere. Have a nice day. And they'll just go outside and farm and do their lives. There will be breakaway things, but people that are just like being told what to do and doing it, geez, they'll almost do anything at this point. And I feel like we've been really good with our words so far, so I want to keep it that way. But remember when they came out out of left field saying that they were going to do the swabs, not in the mouth, but
in the butt? Yes.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. That's like, they're collecting data. They want to see what we do. They want to see how we
did
react.
it to some people in Biden's administration. And then they going to China, and they complied.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that. I just want to, I think that they were like collecting data from everyone on Earth to like, oh, I do it or not. Or like, you know what I mean? Like, they wanted, like, maybe it was a supercomputer, maybe it was evil humans, maybe it was even whatever it was something collecting data. I swear it, and that's something to be recognized, So the next time,
how far will they go?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the people that they're giving the data are the slaves, but there's people out there that aren't even giving them data that are just going to be like, eventually just like, hey, guess what? We have a whole new world we created. It's like not even a parallel society, like a perpendicular society. It's like, goodbye, old world.
Yeah.
You made this happen. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh gosh. Yeah. That's what I hope for, right?
That's why we're here.
Yes. 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 Hanging on to authenticity and truth and land and being a steward of the land. I mean, good gosh, imagine a day with days with no sun.
Yeah. Well, those days could come as they totally, there's protests right now. I mean, they're having protests for climate action, and people don't even know what they're asking for. People don't know what they're asking for.
Idiots.
And at the end of the day, to be very real with everyone, I mean, it's hard to come out of my mouth because I'm the chemtrail guy, but climate change is chemtrails. It's nothing short of it. And their whole talk of it it's such a diabolical, like, backwards confusion tactic, like twisted mind f, that people have no clue that they're creating fires, creating hurricanes, creating drought, steering jet streams, manipulating all these things, making all these crazy weather events, flooding New Zealand and Australia just now.
Yep.
And then saying, oh man, we're going to have to do something about this climate change. It's so easy for them to throw it under an umbrella. They have weather weaponry tools. They literally sharpen and utilize and do them, and then say, as if they didn't do it, oh, we're going to have to lock you in your homes one day because of that. It's getting really weird, and we're going to have to buck this. But I don't know how to fight it. I think I want to fight it in a more spiritual way. I know that we're going to, like, we have an evolution on our hands.
Yep.
And the problem is the stars are supposed to align like in 100 years, and that's why the powers that be are trying to pull this off now. So we're like jump starting. You ever driven a car with stick? Oh, yeah. So if you ever like have the car like lose its starter, you can pop the clutch. You can like roll the car down the hill and then pop the clutch and get the car going in first gear. You just have to get the car going. Like, our destiny as humanity is like meant to get started and to get going and to never stop. And like all we need to do is to pop the clutch. We're like right there. Our true timeline is like right there, but it's trying to be timely hijacked in this like very like in a manner based on falsehood and lies, completely diabolical. And so the truth is like this little sliver of light that's going to destroy all their stuff, man. They can't get away with polarizing falsehoods and being like, oh, you want which one or which one? The truth will completely compromise everything that they've done and stand for. And then in the end, we still get our I think spiritual destiny. I'm kind of jumping to conclusions. I don't know everything about like the purpose of life on earth and what have you. It definitely feels to me though like our destiny has this like true destiny, and it's not towards machine and technology and like enslavement through technocracy and transhumanism, but the powers that be, they're so afraid, and I feel like they're afraid of facing their own karma, that they want to be able to try to live forever and get everyone else convinced that they need to live forever, and they'll decimate fertility with 5G and all these other toxins and all this stuff to convince us that we need to live forever and to abandon our own spiritual identity and whatnot. But they can't they can't do it. Like, it's all going to end up like doing, it's going to do what they don't want to happen anyways. Like, they're going to make it happen anyways by showing themselves. Just showing themselves recently has opened the eyes of so many people. My phone was off the hook. Like, people were contacting me like so crazy a couple of years ago when it all started happening. He said, Matt, I would never be able to see through this if I never watched Frankenstein and knew that there was this evil, you know? But it's showing itself so much now that all truths are starting to become self-evident. You don't need anyone to even tell you. It's like you're being impacted. They're telling you to restrict your airflow. You have to think. Are you going to think yes or no?
And this is the rollout of the metaverse too, because they know people are using their own eyes and seeing things in real time. And if they can get you into the metaverse, you know, the more time you spend in technology, the better, because then they can continue to pump out, no, look at this, look at this, look at this. And you can deny your own eyes when you see things. It's incredible.
Have you seen the movie? Well, there's so many things. Ready Player One is a movie that's trying to promote that dystopia. What they want is people identifying with this avatar reality. Yep. You know,
there's a Bruce Willis movie too, and I can't remember the name of it, but it is one where they, same thing. They live in their chairs inside their house, and their avatars go out and live their lives.
Oh wow, yeah. I'll have to refresh upon that one. I watched the recent Jumanji, and at the very end, this guy, like one of the main characters, is like, well, I'm gonna die soon, so I'll just stay in Jumanji as this black flying horse, like as this horse, you know. And it's like everyone's just okay with that he was gonna stay living in a simulation as an avatar, and his consciousness was gonna stay there. And I'm like, this is such normalization programming to it all.
The arrogance to think that you could duplicate or even come close to real humanity is mind blowing to me.
Well, what's fascinating is it does feel like there's going to be a split where people honor humanity and then they honor technology, and they just they're okay becoming part of this hive mind. Singularity, as they call it, is their goal. Their end goal is this weird singularity, but there will be a rejection from it too. And will there be like a split in consciousness, or will I don't know what's upon us. I think we're going to experience it in our lifetime, which is very fascinating.
I do too.
And I do believe that we're here to just be this like grounding foundation for like the next wave of humanity. Because when I see I saw a child the other day, he's like 3 years old. These children that have like parents that are like cool, their eyes are like glowing. They're coming in here like super, like they're super bright. And I feel like that I have this metaphor. So the monarch butterfly, it's been kind of tainted with like MK Ultra and all this sort of stuff, but the monarch butterfly story is still very beautiful, and I'm going to share it with you right now as a metaphor for humanity and the children. So the monarch butterfly, as a species, it wakes up in the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and they wake up and they eat the milkweed. It starts to flower so they can eat it. As they wake up, it's flowering. And then they fly like 800 miles north. Their whole lifespan is flying north. And then they have their babies and do the whole thing again in like, I don't know, New Mexico or something. And then the next generation wakes up with the season and the flowering milkweed, and they eat the milkweed and they fly north again. And they keep doing this process until it takes 4 generations to make it up to Canada.
Wow.
And then once they wake up in Canada, the whole of monarchs, the entire species, they wake up in Canada and they have to do what 4 generations did in 1 generation, 1 lifetime. It's amazing. There's the same butterflies, same exact people,
right?
Same exact butterflies. So they wake up and they're like, okay, if we don't make it, the species is lost. They have no choice. They fly over mountains and cities and highways, and they fly all the way down to the Yucatan Peninsula, do their whole process, lay their eggs, and they all wake up to the flowering milkweed again to do it all over again. So as a metaphor, I see humanity as the monarch butterflies. Us right now, we're the monarch butterflies that are waking up in like Colorado. We're not even the ones waking up in Canada, but we have to still get to Canada and set the stage for these children, so that they can do the dang thing and make it home and save the species, But we have to empower them with truth, show them the way in the way that they can see it. And I do believe we're all doing our part. I've been really pushed into it here because it was such a dystopia the past couple of years with the forcing of it all and everything, the nurses and everything. We're right up in it.
Yeah.
I've been part of creating our own homeschool collective.
Yep.
So we have like these pods of different grade levels and stuff. We've created our own schools. That's one.
Amazing.
And that's been huge. Also, we did our own holiday market. We had like 35 vendors. And it was because every other holiday market wanted me to show my medical freaking records and wear a mask to do it, to sell my stuff or whatever. And so I was like, okay, look, people want to sell candles and stuff for Christmas. Let's have our own thing. So we did it. And it was a holiday market for medical freedom. And almost every single person that showed up, like either took their mask off or didn't wear it at all or whatever. And it was an amazing thing. What else are we doing that's amazing and beautiful? Oh, our town got burned down a year and a half ago. And so we're hosting in 1 week, in like 10 days, we're hosting this whole Almeida Fire discussion group. I have a flyer right here, actually. We're hosting this thing to discuss the water resources of the community and the fire discussion group. What happened? Why were the fire hydrants off? How did 2,000 low-income homes go up in dust in the middle of the day on a Monday? Why didn't we get the alert system? Like
a lot of questions.
All these questions.
Yeah.
Very, very, very fishy. Very fishy. And how come they haven't been rebuilt? And what about the water reservoir? How come it's still at 6%? And why aren't we doing anything about it? They're letting this river go right into the ocean. It's full. Like, I feel like different areas are being preyed upon because of their
Yes.
consciousness levels or whatever it may be.
That's so interesting. That happened in a little small town in British Columbia called Lytton as
Listen,
well.
BC, I know all
Yes.
about it. Like 90% of it is gone, and
Yep.
questions need to be asked about that
Yep.
because
The
there were,
railway system that goes through there. Yep.
yeah, they're on these days. It's all interconnected, and it comes back to geoengineered winds.
Yep.
It's all back to chemtrails and engineering windstorms. So windstorms are engineered, and then lo and behold, people are basically hired on the ground level to light fires.
Yep.
Or there's random lightning storms that are like,
We just had a fire
out of
in
this
Boulder
world.
again. And, at first they said it was a down power line. Well, thankfully, the power company would not submit to that. They were like, no, this was not the way it happened. And then they slowly, quietly revealed it was arson.
Yeah, exactly. But the mainstream, when people first heard about it, it was something else. It wasn't.
And it was all about the wind, that we're watching the whole thing unfold, and all the news channels, the wind, we can't have the wind change. And oh my goodness.
So we have to take these things in our own hands.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. Like if I didn't do the holiday market, there wouldn't have been one.
That's
right.
And
some people made enough money to freaking have a nice Christmas or whatever. Like people are on edge this last Christmas.
We have to cling to our culture right now. We have to continue doing it on our own. I love that you're doing that. That's so inspiring. I love it. And I love that you pulled your kids out of school. I homeschool too.
Thanks. It was a mess at first.
Yep. And it's going to be. Yep.
Because the kids, they want to run the show, especially nowadays, because they have access to the internet. They can ask it any questions or whatever. And they want their friend group and they don't want to leave and whatever. And a lot of kids nowadays own their parents. Like
I know.
I see parents walking around
nuts
with their faces out, but the kids are wearing the freaking mask. And I'm like, look, your parenting is obviously
in the
faulty.
Toilet.
Yeah. Faulty, It's not like, I'm so either way, not everyone has to have like chemtrail conferences or whatever the heck that I do, but you can do your own little things.
Yes. I'll start with just simple things, right? Like start supporting your local farmers, buy your products from them as much as you possibly can. That's one thing that I'm fiercely, adhering to. And if I can't get it nearby, then I got to think long and hard of whether I need it or not.
That's amazing. And that's important. And that's really real. I have a couple chickens and now I can't even find organic eggs that I like because my chickens are so awesome with the eggs that they lay, and things like that are a wake up. It's like, wait a second. Even just learning about pasteurization, I've now learned that the only juice that I'm going to intake is cold pressed juice or freshly squeezed juice. Did you know like juice is boiled? They boil it.
There's nothing left in it.
They pasteurize it. It's actually toxic at that point.
Yeah.
It makes me sick.
Yeah.
Okay. And learning that they homogenize and pasteurize the milk and like all these things that could and should be healthy for us. They taint them and mess with them, but we can learn how to, and the more you get it local, the less it's been on a truck and it took forever to get there, and you're supporting someone local that needs your help, and you can eat healthier and it's fresher. And there's all these
win-win-win.
Our farmers market just started up. I'm really excited that our farmers market just started up. And
I can't wait for ours to start.
Those places are where you find your tribe, honestly.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. Matt, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today. It was just such an honor to get to know you, and it makes me feel good that you're out there doing this work, and that, everyone's kind of pulling their weight in their different areas of expertise. And I can't wait to see Frankenskies too. I also want to mention that you have a clothing line. Tell us just briefly about that too, because I think that's really important.
It's really nice to know that you're out there too. So likewise on that compliment from the bottom of my heart. It's just really important to have different, voices. I'm a Scorpio, like metal monkey, and I'm like I'm a certain voice, and I can only be heard by certain people. Right. And so you're not a Scorpio metal monkey, I wouldn't imagine, and like you can be heard by. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough. Clothing line. So when I was working on Frankenskies the movie, I was living outside of Vancouver, Canada, and I was living and sleeping in my office. I was just there like all the time. And come to find out, there was a smart meter right on the other side of the wall from my desk, my bed. And I learned about smart meters this way. Actually, smart meters, if you have one, it's important to learn about trying to get your old analog meter back. And they emit a lot of dirty electricity through your house.
Yep.
And they could be the culprit with these crazy fires too. That's worth mentioning, because they can surge and make these electrical fires internal. And the smart meters, I believe, are the
Kill
culprit.
your plants that they're around, and
they
trees.
kill your plants, and they emit so much EMF. Like they surge so much dirty electricity and EMF every few seconds, which they don't have to. They could send it out like once a day if they. And your energy usage, they don't need, your energy usage does not need to be reported to anyone every 5 seconds. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So, anyways, these smart meters, I learned about how bad they are because I developed electrosensitivity from having one really close to me, and I started getting really severe heart palpitations.
Oh, wow.
And I even kind of got really sensitive to my BlackBerry, where it almost like zapped. Like I couldn't do it. I had to learn about grounding and all this sort of stuff, and then I learned about smart meters, and lo and behold, they're no bueno.
Yeah.
So after a lot of learnings and then moving to Arizona to have that chemtrail conference to get up against the Bill Gates thing, and I lived in Sedona, and I hope I didn't say a lot in the show. I'm trying to
I do that too.
Either way, here I am in Arizona, and 5G is being rolled out there, and Arizona wanted to be the #1 5G state, the first 5G state. And so I'm seeing palm trees and cactuses disguised as 5G antenna.
Yep.
And as it all rolled out, I was concerned about myself and my children, and I'm like, what to do? And I learned from a random act. Someone contacted me, these amazing people who like give me information and leads, and told me that there was cloth that could protect. You can weave cloth out of steel or silver or even copper. The copper ends up not working; it has to be grounded. It collects too much electricity. So it's either silver or steel, and then the steel ends up being not very comfortable woven.
Right.
So the best option is silver. So once I learned that, once I learned that there was silver fabric, I did a little research. I couldn't find much, and I got all the money I had and put it in a fanny pack, and I got on a plane to Asia, and I went over there. I'm a little crazy like that. I don't know if that was the best move, but I did it anyways, and it was a mess. I first started off in Thailand, and I had this copper fabric because I thought that was the one that I wanted at first. I learned that wasn't the one that I needed, but I learned how to say fabric made out of copper. Pa Tordai Tong Dang. So I went to these clothing markets in Southeast Asia, and I'm like, Pa Tordai Tong Dang, and they're like, "This is
What
like
are you talking about?
Third world, you guys." I'm like this like kid from the suburbs. I have no idea what I'm doing, and they're like looking at this copper fabric, and they're looking at me like I'm this great, like I'm an alien, and they grab it, and they go Tong Dang, which means copper. Like what? After like the 10th person looked at me like I was
You're
crazy,
like, this isn't a good idea.
I'm like, oh my God, this is a total mess. So I learned that it's only industrialized countries, Korea, Japan, and China, they make the fabric, but you can't just go find it on the freaking street either. So it's like, or in these markets or anything. So like I slowly found it, and it wasn't copper what I needed anyway. So I got the silver fabric, and I'm now like, that was like 5 years ago. Now I have this, it's called Spero, Spero. It's a Latin word for hope. The goal is to bring hope to the next generation through protecting pregnant women and having men's underwear to protect men and protect the children and all this sort of stuff. Just in bringing the awareness that we can protect ourselves and from what this invisible radiation that's all around us that we need to protect ourselves from. And, like the 5G phones and how impactful they are, and how, the radiation symptoms that come off the 5G phones are actually just like all these symptoms that have been going around recently, which is very something worth noting. And I actually have these phone bags that you put your phone in. It kills the signal because they're lined with the silver. But the phone bag stopped working at one point, right when everyone started getting symptoms. And I realized that people getting symptoms, they're having symptoms while their phone bags weren't working because the phones were blasting so much radiation. I had to like triple layer these things.
Wow.
So now I'm making like totally different phone bags. It's actually like a copper nickel composite and then 2 layers of silver, and they block the 5G. And then the phone bags are amazing. No tracking tracks in the phone bags. And I make like 35 items now: beanies, pregnancy stuff, baby blankets, organic cotton swaddling blankets with silver fabric. And I feel like I've done analysis of the competition, and it seems like I'm pretty much leading the industry. There's a lot of companies. There's like a dozen companies worldwide, and not most of them are like just a beanie company or something like that. And none of them are as good as me. Like I have the best style, most affordable, best quality. I'm checking all the points, and I'm trying to come out with it as cool and stylish as I can to get it to the youth. That's the goal. The goal is to have kids wanting to wear it. So I have this whole idea about it, and it's going to unravel. It's going to be, and it's really exciting. So Spero Gear, SPERO, Latin word for hope, SperoGear.com will get you there.
That's
the website,
awesome.
And then Spero Gear on Instagram. And that's it. That's been an amazing, exciting project. And what it has done is proven to me that if I just trust and give it all to the universe or God or whatever, and I just trust that if I follow the truth and believe in it and go for activism and go for it, that it'll work out. Because I never, there was a point where I had like almost no money left, and I was passing out chemtrail flyers, and I was like, God, am I just gonna be doing this like homeless or something? Like, what is this? Is this my path? But like it all like lined
worked out.
It all lined right up like perfectly, honestly. And here I am like now, it's becoming very successful, and I'm very proud of it.
That's amazing. And I think of one takeaway people should take away from this conversation is the actual activist, right? Because you're out there doing things. It's one thing to acknowledge it, talk about it, spread awareness, but we also have to act.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is important to bring it into the real world, even if it's just something really small, like even putting up one flyer of something that you think is important. Someone else randomly could be drawn to that, and they'll see it, and then they'll be so inspired that you live in their town. Just something that simple is very big.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for being on the Naturally Inspired podcast today, Matt. It was a real pleasure.
Likewise, and thank you so much. And maybe we can do it in the future.
Absolutely. If the Naturally Inspired movement makes sense to you, let's do this together and transform the medical model and help people take charge of their health. Learn more about how you can join the Naturally Inspired movement by going to naturallyinspiredadvocate.com or